I have to thank Jehovah God for this. I was down and out, and he helped me today. Wow, as Vina said, first and foremost, I give all praise to Jehovah God because he really got me through this tournament. This was a tough one. Just sports person of the year. And of course, for me, none of this would not be possible without Jehovah God giving me the strength to do what I do every day and for waking me up every day.
I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I can say definitively that there was not a celebrity sports star that was more hated in my house than Serena Williams. And that's because she stood for something that my parents opposed. The idea that someone can be an independent, spiritual person that doesn't listen to every single word that comes from the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses, and yet she still maintained her faith and spirituality, but on her own terms. I also thoroughly enjoyed playing tennis, and I remember with my old thrift store wooden racket, fantasizing about playing with a crowd under the lights, everyone cheering you on. And my parents absolutely did everything within their power to keep me from ever trying to realize those fantasies or those dreams because they wanted me to follow an organization. And Serena Williams was an example of someone that they didn't want me to emulate. And so they made sure that anytime she said something like what I played in the opening about her thanking her God Jehovah, that they absolutely poo-pooed on it so that way she seemed like an evil satanic person. Now, after I left the Jehovah's Witness religion, I really liked Serena Williams because it seemed that she publicly stood for equality and was fighting against racism and other issues that I myself care about. So you can imagine my surprise when I saw this.
Who's that? Who is this on the screen now?
Yes, Serena Williams got baptized as a Jehovah's Witness. So, what does that really mean? Well, let me tell you about it.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Becoming a baptized member of the Jehovah's Witnesses means you have to agree and loyally follow whatever the leaders say. Now, this becomes problematic when we think about things that Serena has said in the past, like this.
Well, the day I stop fighting for equality and for people that look like you and me, will be the day I'm in my grave.
Carrie drew two mommies. She told me they're married to each other. My teacher says that all that matters is that people love each other and that they're happy.
Well, people have their own ideas about what is right and wrong. But what matters is how Jehovah feels. He wants us to be happy, and he knows how we can be happiest. That's why he invented marriage the way he did.
You mean one man and one woman?
Exactly. It's kind of like going on an airplane. What would happen if someone wanted to bring something on the plane that wasn't allowed?
They couldn't go on their trip.
Right. It's the same with Jehovah. He wants us to be his friend and live in paradise forever. But we have to follow his standards to get there.
Homosexual acts are detestable. Does Jehovah still find it so offensive? So, Jehovah has not changed. According to the Creator, homosexual acts constitute disgraceful, obscene error.
Well, the day I stop fighting for equality and for people that look like you and me, will be the day I'm in my grave.
So, Serena, I guess we just have to ask the question. Do you now think that homosexuals are offensive and disgusting and that they can't have a relationship with God or enjoy his love? Because that's what the leaders of the organization you just dedicated your life to say and claim publicly. So you have to do that as well. And that's really not okay. Now, another potential problem or issue is that Serena's life doesn't really line up with Jehovah's Witness values, especially when it comes to modesty and what's considered immoral entertainment. Take a look at this video and see if you can detect maybe there being a double standard, if you will.
At first, I thought, it's not pornography, so it's okay. But still, what I was seeing filled my mind with immoral thoughts, and I couldn't stop. I was sowing unclean desires and reaping a double heart, desensitized to things Jehovah hates. Turn my eyes away from looking at what is worthless. It wasn't just whether an image is considered pornography. Anything that stirs up unclean thoughts is worthless, and I should turn my eyes away.
It's absolutely a double standard. I would probably be in jail if I did that, like literally, no joke.
So the Watchtower goes so far as to say something doesn't even need to be pornographic in order for it to be offensive to God. So when we see just a few months ago she was retweeting her twerking in a Beyonce music video, it makes me scratch my head, because Watchtower doesn't think this is a matter of taste. No, they go so far as to call it a tool of Satan. Music videos that feature any immorality, whether that be, on screen or even in the lyrics, they call that satanic propaganda used to corrupt people's minds and lower their standard of morals. So a few months ago, she was comfortable retweeting satanic propaganda, and now she's being welcomed into the organization with open arms. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that there's definitely a double standard here. Now, whether that's on the part of the organization for not enforcing their rules or making an exception just because of her celebrity status, I guess that is up to individuals to decide.
It's absolutely a double standard. I would probably be in jail if I did that, like literally, no joke.
Upon announcing her retirement, she did publish an article in Vogue magazine, and it said this: "I'd like to think that, thanks to the opportunities afforded to me, women athletes feel that they can be themselves on court. They can play with aggression and pump their fists. They can be strong yet beautiful. They can wear what they want and say what they want and kick butt and be proud of it all." The Jehovah's Witnesses are a misogynistic organization run by men and that suppress women. They are literally tell women you need to be in subjection to either your husbands, and if you're not married, to the organization. And this misogyny plays out in some very horrific ways. One of the worst is when it comes to child sexual abuse. For decades, the Jehovah's Witnesses had a practice where if someone was abused, they had to go to the leaders of the congregation, who are all men, and they would have to sit in a room with their abuser to make their accusation. So imagine a young girl sitting in a room full of men talking about her experience, re-traumatizing herself. I don't think I have to explain why this is so unimaginably problematic.
And I'm sure you know of the concerns expressed by the women who have given evidence in this hearing about the confrontation and difficulty in that confrontation which they found in approaching a male dominant structure. You understand that?
I do understand that, Your Honor.
Is there room for the church to change that?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it. Is there a chance to make elders women or make women elders? No. There is no leeway there.
And yet, you are going to try and be an advocate for young women and be dedicated to this organization? In my mind, that creates a double standard. Now, I don't want this video to come across like I'm bashing Serena Williams, because I'm absolutely not. I actually have a lot of empathy because I was at a point in my life where I thought that the Jehovah's Witnesses had the one true faith. I was out there on the streets advocating for the Watchtower. And it wasn't until I actually learned about some of the problematic teachings and practices and policies that they had where I had to take a step back and say, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this isn't the truth. And the difficult thing with that is, in my opinion, the Watchtower organization is a doomsday cult, and indoctrination is incredibly difficult to break free from. It's so hard to take a step back and start asking yourself legitimate, real questions about what you believe and why you believe in it. And another thing that the Watchtower does is they reinforce this idea that anything negative against them is just a lie, that it's just made up. This couldn't actually be true. These apostates just lie to people with misinformation. But that's not the case. We're actually trying to spread correct information. So I don't want this to come across as I'm bashing her or dunking on her or anything like that, because I have genuine empathy that she probably doesn't know any of these problematic things. And I hope one day that, Serena, you can take your own advice.
Investing in myself more was just asking questions. I think a lot of people forget the most important thing is curiosity. And the more questions you ask, the more answers you'll get. I'm the kind of person that's like, listen, I don't understand anything going on right now. Explain it to me. Layman's terms, one-on-one, break it down.
So yes, please take your advice. Be curious. Ask questions. And maybe you'll actually see the truth isn't really the truth. Now remember, we shouldn't have any hatred or ill will towards individual Jehovah's Witnesses, because on the whole, they are completely unaware of these harmful practices. But I think we can use a situation like this in order to gain a little bit wider public understanding of what it means to be a Jehovah's Witness and highlight some of their problematic teachings and policies that are extremely harmful, and especially harmful to children. And that is the big kicker, because at the end of the day, I believe in religious freedom, and it's not my job to say what you believe. But I really do have a problem when someone forces their beliefs on an innocent child. And that innocent child, once they get that indoctrination, even if they go off and live their own life or do whatever, it's still there. And this is a perfect example of just how strong that indoctrination can be. And I think that that is a negative thing, especially when that indoctrination is directing someone to be loyal to an organization with so many problems like Watchtower has. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something, don't forget to drop a like on this video. Consider subscribing to the channel if you want to learn more about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I will see you next time.